You guys know I love patina. Some might say that I go a little overboard at times with my obsession for all things that patina. But today, we're going to look at something that caught my attention. Something so cool that it made me briefly forget my beloved patina. Patina. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode. So the knife that we're looking at today has no copper, has no brass, hell, it doesn't even have any micarta, no leather, no materials whatsoever that tarnish, age, patina. Some might call this the anti-patina knife actually. Hell, this thing's even got carbon fiber scales, and I've gone on record saying that I, historically speaking, have not been a huge carbon fiber fan. I know what you're thinking. Jeremy, do you have like a fever? Did you have a mild stroke? Do you have some form of mental breakdown? What is this blasphemy you speak? Well, I assure you, my friends, I am of sound mind and body. Well, as sound mind as I ever am, that is. But what this knife lacks in patina, it makes up for in general badassery. Is badassery a word? If badassery is not a word, I feel like it should be a word. And this knife is chock full of badassery. We are looking at the Hellraiser from the good folks at Red Horse Knife Works. So, Red Horse Knife Works. Before we get started, let's just take a quick second to acknowledge not only the badassery of this knife, but the badassery of Ed Kim, the guy who owns Red Horse. The guy was a private security contractor, 15 years martial arts experience with Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. He was an MMA competitor, so makes sense that a legit badass makes a legit badass knife, right? But let's dig into the details on this sweet, murdered out carbon fiber pocket hatchet of goodness. Hey, did I hear what I thought I heard? I was downstairs organizing my collection of Guns and Ammo magazine. Could have swore I heard you say something about a blacked out carbon fiber knife. I need one to go with my new wallet. I've got to start locking that door. You sneak up on me every time. This is getting old, man. It's all the black. Makes me super stealthy. And the fact that I don't wear shoes. Ever. No, Black Hawk Down. I don't think it has anything to do with the all black. We're indoors and the lights are on. It's not dark, so, the black's not really a factor. It's kind of like guys that wear camouflage indoors. We're not in the woods, I can see you. Whatever, man. Did you say something about a blacked out carbon fiber knife or not? After the last time when you were talking about these carbon fiber ridge wallets, I went on their website, I was checking them out, and I thought to myself, WWJWD. Do you mean WWJD? What would Jesus do? What does Jesus have to do with the carbon fiber wallet? I have no damn clue. I was wondering the same thing. You're the one that said WWJD. No, I said WWJWD. What would John Wick do? Answer is, he'd buy a sweet-ass carbon fiber wallet. So I did. Now I need a knife to match it. Okay, firstly, you for sure ate lead paint as a kid, or were at least around a lot of lead paint, or so. I don't have an explanation for what's wrong with you. I really don't, but you do have good taste in wallets. I'll give you that. This carbon fiber ridge wallet does look outstanding with this knife. It's like they were meant to be together. All the ridge wallets are really nice though. High quality materials, front pocket style, minimalist wallets. They look great, are super easy to use, and with a footprint exactly the same size as a credit card, you're going to be hard pressed to find a smaller front pocket style wallet. They also come in different materials and colors, so no matter what gear you have, you're going to easily be able to find something that goes with the rest of your stuff, like peanut butter and jelly. I think cigars and whiskey would be a better analogy there, Chief. Or guns and ammo, whatever. But peanut butter and jelly? Come on, dude. What are you, 5? Oh, calm down, Born Identity. I saw you ugly cry last night while you were watching TV. Hey, man, that was the news. And they were showing a clip of a gun buyback program. They were destroying hundreds and hundreds of innocent guns. It's the saddest thing I've seen since the assault weapons ban in the 90s.
just broke me up.
They really do not have a name for what is wrong with that guy. But Ridge also offers other products. They have cool stuff like backpacks, they have power banks, they have phone cases. So if you're ready to ditch that Costanza wallet and go for something a little more minimal, check the link I'm going to list down below, and that's going to give you 10% off and free worldwide shipping from the good folks at Ridge Wallets. Thanks again to Ridge Wallets for sponsoring this video and supporting the channel. Gotta start locking that door. Every video with the interruptions, every video. So the Hellraiser from Red Horse Knife Works. And this is the Hellraiser P series. The big deal about the P series is this is really one of the first production, P stands for production, that they've done. Red Horse Knife Works primarily before this has done custom and mid-tex. The thought behind it was they wanted to come out with a knife that had the same kind of quality and standards and materials, or as close to as they could with their custom and mid-tex stuff, but a little more affordable price range for the average consumer, or maybe not average, but the consumer that didn't want to drop, big $500-600 on a knife. I think they pulled it off in spades. The materials, the fit and finish, the tolerances on this knife, really outstanding. This guy is sporting carbon fiber sculpted scales, titanium pocket clip back spacers and thumb stud, ceramic ball bearings and detent. It is a liner lock made of hardened stainless. The blade steel is S35VN. The blade is 3.75 inches long, 0.140 thick, has a Rockwell hardness of 59 to 60, and has a PVD coating. I have said in the past, I am not a huge fan of carbon fiber, but the way it is done on this knife, I actually really like it. It's not just a flat piece of carbon fiber. I think sometimes in knives, when you get just like this flat piece of carbon fiber, it can almost feel and look a little cheap, but the way they've sculpted these handles, not only make the ergonomics a little better, make it feel better in your hand, but
Oh, no, not that. Just come on, you guys, let's do it.
The carbon fiber is sculpted out and it kind of changes the design from the standard kind of tweed pattern to the sculpted area looking a little different. With all the edges beveled and the sculpting, it just looks really nice. These are probably some of my favorite carbon fiber scales I've seen on a knife before. And both sides are sculpted. It's not just the show side, it's also the clip side. Really nice. They also done a really, did you hear that? We'll get into that in just a minute. They also did a really good job of sculpting out where your lock bar is, so you can easily get in there because this is a liner lock. You can easily get in there. Main things that kind of pisses me off about liner locks sometimes is if they don't sculpt that scale out to where you can easily get to that. It's super irritating, but they did a really, really nice job. They don't just have this knife in carbon fiber though. If you're not a fan of carbon fiber, they do also offer this in G10. The blade shape, God, that sounds good. I'm gonna get into that. I'm saving that for last because it's one of my favorite parts of the knife. The blade shape on this thing is probably one of the most unique I've seen. I posted a picture of this on Instagram not too long ago, and a lot of people commented like, what in the hell is that thing? It's this cleaver / straight razor kind of situation. I've never quite seen a blade like this, and I really dig it. Like I said, this is a 3.75 inch blade, S35VN, which I'm a big fan of. I think it holds an edge pretty damn well. It also takes an edge really well. It's not too hard to sharpen, but it's a pretty good hard durable steel, so it doesn't dull very fast. They put a PVD coating on this one. I'm not always a huge fan of PVD coatings. I do like this one because it makes the knife totally blacked out and murdered out, and I kind of dig that. But if you're not a fan of coatings on blades, they do offer it in a brushed and a stonewashed, if I'm not mistaken. I think brushed and stonewashed finishes also. You've got some nice thumb jipping on the back here. It's not the most aggressive thumb jipping. If I'm being honest, your thumb doesn't bite into it relatively well, but it is there for a little bit of additional grip. Another thing I really like about the blade is this notch right here. I think it gives it a really cool kind of look to it, kind of little separation. It really gives it that cleaver, straight razor kind of vibe. But I like it because sharpening. When blades don't have a sharpening area, it kind of drives me crazy. That's one of the things that bugs me about Spydercos, right? Is a lot of Spydercos, if you'll notice, your blade just goes right into the blade stock right here. So when you're sharpening, sometimes that can be a bit of a pain and your stone will grind on that. I usually will take a Dremel and actually cut out a little sharpening notch on most of my knives that don't have one, because it just makes it easier to finish off your edge a little easier without running into that. This one though, because it's got this huge notch here, no problems there. I dig cleaver kind of shaped blades. I think they're very utilitarian. These are obviously not good for piercing and stabbing, but I mean, honestly, how much are you piercing and stabbing things? Generally, you're cutting and slicing, which this shape does really, really well. It's great for general EDC pocket tasks. If you notice, and that's something else we're going to talk about, just the general shape of this knife. It's almost got kind of like an S kind of curve thing going, which I really think is pretty damn cool. For a clip, we have a pretty straightforward bent titanium pocket clip. They did use titanium, which is nice, a little bit higher grade material there. And again, the holes milled out in it to kind of match and mirror the stylized holes that are in the blade there. It's nice and stable. It's got good pocket retention. It's not a super fancy clip. It's not like a, you know, fully CNC milled out titanium job or something. It's just a bent kind of spring style titanium clip, but you know, you got to keep your prices down. So now let's get into what makes this knife kind of special. One of the nicest actions on any knife I have. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my bug out. I love the action on that. I love my Spydercos, my PM2s. They have great action, but those are phosphor bronze bushing kind of situations. This is a different level when you've got ceramic ball bearings, and especially a ceramic detent. Now, I'm no knife maker, so I don't know the kind of specifics or the science behind why this is. I'm assuming the ceramic is so crisp because ceramic is a hard material and it doesn't wear, but it's also very smooth. So makes it very snappy, comes out very crisp and clean. And then over time, I would imagine it wouldn't wear. Like metal on metal can sometimes wear. So the detent can kind of over time be a little less. I'm assuming this is gonna hold up long-term better. I guess. That's my guess. Like I said, this is just me, layman, not knife maker, guessing why it is the way that it is. Just listen. Ooh.
Yes! That's awesome.
And I'm sure that clipped my mic, 100% that clipped my mic. First time I opened this knife, I thought it was spring assist. I mean, that thing, I was like, man, that thing came out with aggression. I did not know this was a spring assist knife. And then I went, oh, there's no spring there. Matter of fact, it pretty much drops closed. And this is a new knife. So I guarantee you, as smooth as that thing closes, after like a couple months of use, that thing is gonna drop closed. Just listen. See if it picks it up. Did you hear that click? I'm telling you, man, the snappiness of this thing, one of the most impressive actions on a knife I have. It is awesome. The thumb stud is also titanium. I'm not a huge thumb stud guy. I actually kind of prefer a thumb hole just because then I can spidey flick, and I really like to spidey flick a knife. But this is a nice thumb stud. It is extremely grippy. I don't care if you have on gloves, there's enough room in here to get to it. And with the jimping, or the kind of, I think Blade HQ calls it podium jimping, the way this thumb stud is, your finger grips into the meat. Matter of fact, I've been playing with this knife so much, I think I don't have a Sabenza, but I hear people talk about Sabenza thumb because of how grippy and sharp the thumb stud is. And I think I'm starting to develop that from playing with this knife, because that thumb stud grips and rips. I mean, you're not gonna slip off that stud. And then the fact that the scales are contoured out so you can get to it easily, and then that action, ooh, clipping my mic to death here, but man, it just, let me hold it back a little bit so it's not, maybe it won't clip it. Can you hear that though? I mean, the whack, I love it. Moving on to the fit and finish, I think you kind of get the point from some of the other stuff I've talked about. Fit and finish on this thing is pretty much flawless. And the attention to detail is nice too, right? Like the fact that the pivot has a little red circle around it, and it's not a standard pivot. It looks like something more you would get in a custom knife. You do have your standard Torx on this side, but this side's completely, the show side is completely flat with nice machining. The inside frame has been skeletonized to keep the weight down. This knife, considering how big this knife is, and I mean, this is a full-size knife. That's actually something I didn't talk about. I don't care how big your hands are, this dude is plenty big.
That's what she said.
I got pretty large hands, and I've got overhang.
That's what she said.
Full size knife, but for the size of this knife, because it's got the skeletonized liners and the carbon fiber scales, very easy, rides in your pocket really nice. It does not seem heavy. Another little point to the fit and finish, they even took the time on the lock release to bevel and jimp it a little bit, right? So it's got just a little bit of jimping so that you still have some grip, and with the way they scalloped out the scale, you can easily get to that release, but it's beveled really nicely and rounded and kind of polished. So it just looks really nice. Very impressed with the fit and finish on this knife. I don't have a ton of really expensive custom knives, like $500–600 knives. So a lot of you guys that have a lot of the really high-end custom knives might be used to this level of fit and finish. I primarily have production knives. So anytime I see this level of kind of detail I appreciate it. The devil's in the details, as they say. As you can probably tell, big fan of this knife. Even though this is outside my wheelhouse, you guys have seen what I normally carry. You know, copper Spydercos, micarta dappers and Voxnez designs and Benchmades. Love my copper PM2, but man, the weight difference is noticeable. Obviously that's not fair though. Copper is like crazy heavy. You got to pay the cost to be the boss with the copper, but this is a nice change up. And God, did you hear that? This is a nice change up. And these guys run, I think, right about 260 on their website. So definitely not a cheap knife. Not cheap. I'm not bullshitting. You know me, I don't beat around the bush. For the materials that are in this guy and the fit and finish and the quality and the tolerances, I don't know that I've seen a knife with better materials and fit and finish than this knife for that price range. I'm just saying, if you're coming over to the dark side and you like the murdered out all black carry situation, I think this would be a great pocket knife to add to your setup to complete a all black carry. So the Red Horse Knife Works Hellraiser P series with carbon fiber scales and a PVD, again, clip the mic, PVD coated blade gets my seal of approval. I really dig it. And that's saying something from a guy that normally is a patina addict. Ed over at Red Horse was nice enough to give me a discount code for you guys. So if you guys are interested in picking anything up from Red Horse Knife Works, I will link my code down below for 10% off the entire site. Definitely check out Red Horse. They make some cool stuff. They make some fixed blades. They do some custom stuff, like I said, and then they got these P-Series knives. One last thing I did want to go over before we closed out the video for the day. By the time this video comes out, these shirts should be live on the website. You guys have said you wanted a man shit shirt. I don't think it gets much more clear than that. Do man shit, son. Do man shit. So if you're interested, long story short, I have several new designs out. Go check those out. I will link those down below along with the details on this guy right here and the discount code. That wraps this one up. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got some good information out of it. If you did, feel free to smash that like button. That always helps us out. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so. We'd love to have you on board. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week, and we'll see you in the next video. Clip that mic again. I mean, dude, that thing is so... My thumb is going to be raw. This is one of those knives that will drive your friends and or significant other crazy. Because if you're like me, a lot of times you sit and play with a knife. And this one has got a resounding clack that will start to irritate people. But it's so satisfying. Oh.